guys, welcome back to the channel. So I was gonna wait to reveal the airplane until next week when we go to the event in St. George, Utah, but I decided to do it now because I'm just too excited about this model and I couldn't wait to show you guys. So here she is, all finished. I did some real light weathering. There's panel lines in there and they're hard to see. I mean, they would have been hard to see on the real one. There's a little Jaeger in there. Huge thank you to my friend Tommy, who designed and 3D printed custom hubcaps, not just for the nose wheel, but for the mains. I'm getting some weird camera effects right now. So he also did brakes. Something on the camera. So he did 3D printed brakes, the hubcaps, and I ended up grinding off the tread on this tire because the real one was bald, so did that. So the hubcaps look amazing. They look really cool. We'll flip it over inside the garage and get a better look at them. But anyways, did some little details on it. Actually, I still have a couple more things to do. It's got some real small scoops back here that I need to make. Haven't done that yet. But yeah, so let me show you guys all the flight controls. So we got the flaps, obviously. And ailerons. This model also has AS3X on it, which would be kind of cool to fine tune in there. I'll show you guys. It's got the a big thank you to Chris Wolf, aka the RC Geek. He sent me a center burner for this, and even one of his new controllers for it. So I'll show you guys here in a second when I pop the hatch off. But as you can see, this hatch kind of forms the front of the duct, if you will. So the duct is in there behind the pilot. Now this intake is pretty oversized, but it necks down to the right size about 6 to 8 inches after the hatch here. So anyway, sun's coming up, so you can get a better idea of the color here. And actually, I looked around for a long time trying to find the right color, and what I found was a color that was pretty close. It's actually Chrysler Hemi Orange. And then I Scotch Brighted it, and then I hit it with Tester's Dull Coat when it was all finished. So obviously decals by Cali. Now, interesting note, the markings I chose were the ones used on the airplane when it performed the powered takeoff from the lake bed. So one of the reasons I chose that scheme, and there's not a whole lot different about it. The biggest thing is the Bell aircraft is in a couple different spots, and the tail numbers are a little different. So when it broke the sound barrier, it had a little more of a crude tail number on it, and it didn't say U.S. Air Force. So this is like a standard font, Air Force font that they would have used back then, and it said U.S. Air Force and the tail number. So the stars and bars are the same. And actually, looking at pictures, the Glamorous Glennis actually appears to be slightly different than the original two. Now, you have to remember by the time that they did the first takeoff, or the only takeoff from the ground, it was about 1.5 years after the first supersonic flight. So the plane had been around, they'd flown it a ton, it had been repainted. And so the Glamorous Glennis on this particular scheme, at least in the video, looks to be a little more I don't know what the word is, but it's not as like hand done as the original looked. But anyways, yeah, so I got the pitot tubes on it. And yes, even though it was flown at Edwards, the command for this program was at Wright Field in Ohio. So that's where this program originated from, actually. So anyways, let's get it inside the garage and I'll flip it over and show you guys the landing gear and all that stuff. Alright, so we get a better idea or a better view of the brakes. And I'm going to put some pictures at the end of this of the real one, so you guys can see how the actual landing gear looked in the real one. And then I also had to cut the corner of this door off and remount it to the body. It's not supposed to be shaped like that, but it was so close to the ground that I didn't have much other choice. I didn't want it to hit the ground. And see here, this little screw, that's what the tug actually hooks to. I know in the real one it hooks to the nose gear, but the nose gear in this just isn't strong enough to be tugged on like that. So anyways, here's a little sample of the gear. Doors close up real nice. I got a magnet on this nose door, you'll see here in a second. So there's a little magnet right here. I can't really see it. It's buried in there. Anyways, and I got a screw right here that it clips onto. So basically what I have here is I have a torsion bar spring that runs through the hinges, and it pulls the door closed on its own. So the door naturally wants to be closed. So when the nose wheel goes down the wheel, the door just closes by itself, and then the gear, as it comes out, pops the door open. Obviously the main doors are on servos, and yeah. So anyways, that's most of it. We'll flip it back over and run it up for you guys and show you the afterburner. But yeah, super pumped on this thing. Go ahead. Alright, so I'll show you guys the hatch here in a second. So basically it's held on with two magnets. It's all balsa wood, a couple of big magnets on it. And then pretty big battery bay. Right now I have the pack pretty far back. I got the CG right about here, which seems very far forward, but again, you have to account for all the fuselage. I feel like that's a safe place to start, since I don't really know what it's going to do. I don't know how much the fuselage is really going to affect the CG, so that's where we're starting. This is the new center burner power supply for the new controller that the RC Geek uses. So Chris was nice enough to send one of these to me to use. It's pretty cool. It just clips into your balance tab on your battery, and that way you don't have a separate pack to power the afterburner. Another thing I like about this new controller is that it constantly flickers. It doesn't just stay lit. The old ones used to flicker and then stay lit, but this one now, unless it's just the way I have it adjusted, it flickers the whole time, which is actually kind of cool, I think. So I'm excited to see how that looks in the air. But yeah, so this is the cockpit. As you can see, like I said, the amount of air that's available to this opening is pretty big. So it kind of necks down as it comes in. I did that because I knew that there would be a pilot up here, and because the air is probably going to be kind of dirty coming through all these grids. It gives the air a chance to kind of come in slow because the volume's high, and get around the pilot, and then smooth out and speed up as it goes back towards the fan. So anyways, that's the thought behind it. Hopefully it works well. It seems to have a pretty decent amount of push on the street with a fresh pack in it. So it is way heavier than I originally wanted it to be. It's a little over 9.5 pounds, so it's definitely heavy. But I think it's gonna fly okay. I hope it does. I hope it just flies decent, honestly. I think it's just gonna look cool in the air, but this is one of those models that I'm probably not gonna fly all the time, unless it just happens to fly really, really sweet. Then I might fly it fairly often. But anyways, that about does it. And I'm just super excited about this model. It turned out really, really good. And for those who might be watching this for the first time, to my knowledge, this is the very first RC X-1 with scale landing gear that will take off under its own power from the ground. And it's probably the first EDF X-1 as well. So there might be others that I haven't seen online, and this is probably the most scale X1 that's been done so far. Most of the X1s that have been done are small and rocket powered, don't have like flaps and scale wing and all the rest of that stuff. So if anyone has seen one, I'd love to see it, and I'd love to see links and pictures to something like that if you guys have seen one that I haven't seen. But anyways, pretty pumped on this thing. Again, Cali Graphics did the decals for it, all custom obviously, and it's a Jet Hanger Hobbies pilot. And big thank you to my friend Paul Stelly, who helped me realize this dream of mine of building one of these things. He did the original design and made the original parts for it, and the landing gear and all that. So thank you, Paul. And yeah, the maiden is next Friday at the St. George Electric event, so we'll have video of that once we fly it. Hopefully it survives. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.